Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to AutoCAD System free online lesson. So my name is Nabi Fikri bin Shaizan, an application engineer from AutoCAD System. So for today's topic, we will take a look at the drawing work coordinates inside of AutoCAD. Right, basically this is the agenda for today. So for the coordinates, so first thing is we're going to take a look on how to read or find the coordinate positions. So there are three basic commands that you can use. One is the PR for properties, ID, and also LI for list. So next steps, we're going to take a look on how we can draw using the coordinates. So there are basically two methods. One is the absolute coordinates and the relative coordinates. Once we have a draw, we want to take a look on how we can import and also export this coordinate information. So let me share my AutoCAD. Right, so I hope you guys can see my screen here. So the first thing is when you draw something inside of your AutoCAD, you always draw using coordinates. So whether if I just using the lines and pick one points to another points to another locations. So what has been done here is the coordinate has been input. So to see the coordinate of our lines here, so there are three things that you can input. The first thing is you can go to the PR commands, which is for properties. I can just start in PR for properties, enters, and what I can do here, I can just click lines over here, and under geometry tab over here, and then here we have multiple information such as the start X, Y, and also the ends X and also the Y. So this is the coordinate value for my line over here. So what it's actually telling you is that if you draw a lines or something, or maybe a circles, also will have a coordinate. So for example, if I draw a line here, so it was telling me that the start point, which is I start from here, the X coordinate is 1.1 and the Y coordinate is 5.7. Right, and then it will end the coordinates at the 3.7 and for the X, and then end for the Y, which is 6.9. So we also have the Z axis, so that if you work with the 3D, but for this case we're only using 2D for now. This value that you see under the properties here can also be manipulated. So if I want to change the start position of the start X, I want to change into start 1.2. So you can see the X directions moving a little bit. So start for the Y, I want to drop down a little bit. For the Y direction, I want to give it around 4.5. 5. Then you will see we actually moving the direction for the Y coordinate. So you can just click over here and then you can find the coordinate value from here. So this one is only work with the lines or maybe circles. So if I click circle somewhere, you will find the center X, Y, which is the center point coordinate here. Does not work well with polyline, but if you want to use or measure the polyline later on, we have other tools that you can use. So that is the properties command. So not only that you can see or view your coordinates, you can also edit. So the next command to find the coordinate value is the ID. I can just press ID command. So what it does, it allow you to specify the coordinate for the points that you have selected. So if I click the point over here, and then it will give me this information over here. So the X is 3.78, and then we have the Y, and also Z is 0, of course. So you can press ID, enter, and then you can find the coordinate based from the point that you have selected. So it will bring this command up. Now I want to automatically list down several coordinates. So for that case, you can use LI for list. You can press LI, enters. Then again, I can just select the lines and I press enter, and it will give you the information for the XY coordinate from here. So we have from points, 2 points. So basically this is start and ends the X, Y, and Z. So similar with the properties that we have previously. So this one is generally useful if you have a continuous line for polyline. Then you want to specify all of these coordinate locations. So I can just click over here and I can press the command LI for this. And then you will see it is automatically list down all of the coordination points. So the X, the Y, then the next point, and so on. Right. So another things that you can do to see your coordinate for your drawing is that you can also find the coordinate for your moving cursor over here. So you can go to the customization bar here, you just click coordinates, and then it's giving you the coordinates drawing. So basically it's tracing your cursor coordinate. So that is if you want to view the position of your drawing. So there are a few things that you can do over here as well. So currently it's automatically updates wherever I move. So if I don't want that, I can just click over here. So it's become gray a little bit. It only updates if I press something. So if I click over here, then you will see it's automatically update the value. Right? Maybe I press the skip key. So it will automatically update. So that is the coordinate that you can trace as well. Right, so let's take a look on how we can draw. So again, so there are basically two methods that you can draw from here. So the first one is the absolute coordinates, which is this one. Second one is the relative one. So the absolute basically is going to calculate the coordinate based from the origin point, which is the xy, while the relative one will allow you to input the value from the last point. So let me just show you the absolute first. So over here, what I have is the example for the absolute. So you can see I already put some points over here and here as well. The first point, I have coordinate 1 to 1. So what this commands actually does is that the coordinate point does is actually calculate from the origin point, which is this xy here. So the xy here is the origin points of x equal to 0, y also 0. So if I want to draw lines to the next coordinates somewhere around here, so that will be 1's x equal to 1, and then moving upwards, that will be y equal 1. So if I want to move to the next one, so I need to calculate again from here to here, so that will be here to here. So that will be 3 for the x, and then moving up, so that will be y equal 2. So let me just show you one example. To draw using coordinates, all I can do is just I can just press lines here, or polyline as well. So what I can do here now, before I proceed to show you again, you have two different coordinates here. One is absolute and relative. To change between these two is that you can change at the dynamic input over here. Right, so if you don't see the dynamic input, you can go to the 3-bar customization here, and then make sure to turn on the dynamic button here, and then you can just press this to turn on and off. So currently, when I'm turning off the dynamic inputs, I'm using the absolute coordinates, basically what I'm showing you. So later on, we'll take a look at the relative one. Now, when I want to draw lines, so let's say if I want to start from the origin points right over here, so I can just press 0, and then 0, that is for the x. Then I want to move to the y coordinate, I can just press comma, and then I can just press 0 again. So it will allow you to enter for the x equals 0 and y 0 as well. So I can just press enter. So right now you can see I'm starting to draw from the 0. So let me just cancel that, and let me just change my layer. So again, I'm using lines, and I want to draw to from this point 1 to 1. So I can just press 1, 1. I can press enters, and then I can move to 3, 3, which is this position. Right, so 3, 3, 2. Now if I want to move downwards, so I need to know this position. So this will be the x equal 3, and then y is equal 1. So I can just put 3 and y is 1. So that pretty much how you can use to draw coordinates. So if I want to move back to 0, I can just press 0, 0, press enter, and then I'm actually using the I'm moving back to 0. Right, so if I have something like this and I want to draw, so again, I can just click line first, and then I can just input the value. So I want to draw 1 for the X, and then I press comma to change to the Y. I can press enters, then I can move to different coordinates. I can press again, I want to move to down here. So that will be X equal 2, comma, and then Y will be 0. Right, so that is one of the example. So if I want to move using the relative one, so currently I'm using absolute, which is actually calculating from this point. So from this point to here, then I want to move from this point, I need to calculate from here as well. But for the relative one, relative will calculate from the last line that you have selected. Let me just select. So this is one of the example for relative. So relative, if I want to start with the 1 to 1, so the same methods, I can just press lines, then I can just input the value 1, 1. But if I want to move to the next points, so if I were to put the 2 value over here, then I can press 1 here. I press enter. So instead of moving to this position, what it does is actually moving to this position. So the reason why, because currently I'm still using the absolute coordinate. So absolute coordinate means the value that I have actually calculate from the point here. So if I want to use relative, I can just turn the dynamic input on. So I can press line again. Right. So let's say I start from 1 to 1 again. So pressing lines, and then I press 1 for the X, comma, and then Y for X. Then I want to move to this position, 2, 1. So I can just input 2, 1, enters, and then it's moved to this position. So what it does is actually calculate from the last point. So from the last point here to here, that will be 2 for the X. And then it moves upwards, that will be only 1 units for the Y. So that is the absolute coordinate. Now for the, so let me just change back over here. So if I'm turning off the dynamic input, I'm using the absolute. If I want to move to this position here, to the left and downward, so that will be negative value. So when you play around with coordinates, upwards will be positive, and the right side will be positive, left will be negative, downward will be negative. So if I want to move to this position, so this one will be -1, comma, -1. So that is if I'm using the absolute. So if I turning on the dynamic input, so again, if I start from here, I need to know the value from here for the X, the value from here for the Y, and then the X as well. Right? So let's say I'm just start draw from here. Then I want to draw from here to the top here. So I can just press say 1 for the X, comma, and then I can press 1 for the Y as well, or maybe 1.5. So I'm start draw just a little bit upwards from. Right. So if I want to move downwards, I say somewhere around here, I need to make sure that my value is correct. So if I just put X equal 0, and then Y equal -2, for example, so it will only move downward only to only. So if I want to move downward here, so I need to make sure my length is correct. Right, so that is how you can draw using absolute and also relative coordinate. Now let's say you already draw your coordinates, right? Your sketch using coordinate methods, and then you want to create a dimensions. So for that case, you can use coordinates. So for the dimension here, you can go here, and then you have the coordinates. So I can just drop down and I can select coordinate from here. and I can just pick the points, and it will allow to give the value from the X and also Y. So that will be the X value. So if I want for the Y, so I just need to move the same position, but I need to ensure that the direction is selecting for the Y. So the straight line, that will be the line. Horizontally, there will be the Y. And then for the vertically, so that will be the X direction. So that is if you want to find the value for the dimension. Now, we already learned how to use 2D methods on the coordinates. So if you want to go with the 3D, so all you need to do is that you need to input the third value. So if I want to draw, so currently I'm turning on the dynamic put on. So let me just change back to 0. And I want to draw a line, for example, let's say around 1, 1 at that positions. And I can move to different directions. Let's say around 1 to 5, let's say 1 to 5 as well. If I want to have a 3D, so that will be the third direction. That will be the Z direction. To add for the Z directions, I just need to enter another comma, the Z, then you have the third box that you can input for the Z axis. So for the Z, let's say I want to move upwards, let's say around 5, so I can just input 5, and I can press enter, then you have something like this. Okay, so still 2D. So, but if I move my angles, then you will see it's actually moving upwards. So I'll end here. So if I click on here, so again, I can still manipulate the value from here. So the X 2.5 to Y 2.5, and then the Z will be 5. So if I want this to be 2.5 as well, I can just enter the value from here. So that is the 3 methods. So again, I'm using the relative, but for the absolute same methods. So I can just turn off. Let's say I want to start with the origin, so 0, 0, and then I can press comma, then I can input the value for the Z directions. If I want to move it downwards, I can put negative value, let's say around 3. I press enter, then you will see it's actually start from the bottom here. And from here, I want to move upwards, so X equal to 0, and then comma for the Y 0, and then comma again for the Z direction, so that I want this to be 2, for example, upwards. Press enter, then I have a lines which is actually using the Z directions lines. Right, so that is drawing with coordinates, and we already take a look on how we can basically use dimensions. Then let's say if you already have your drawings and then you want to export out the information that you have. So for that case, you can use list commands, and then you can just basically copy the values that the list has already shown. So for here, I have a polylines, and I can type list to this down command, and I can press, and I can select enters, then it giving me the list. Sometimes the list might not be enough. I can press enter again, and it will find the next value. So after I press enter, so it will continue to find the next value from here. So I have the value from here until here. So from here, I want to move, let's say I want to copy this into an Excel file. So I can just copy, and then I can find an Excel file. Right, so from here, I can just Control V to basically paste my value that I have from the AutoCAD. But from here, once I have pasted, it's only pasting on one column only. So if I want to divide it into multiple columns, so for the Excel file, you can just go to data here, then you can go to text to columns. To separate text, numbers into different column over here. All right, so let me just list down everything from here to the bottom. Then I can select text to column. And you can see it's listed down everything from here. I can select delimited next, and then I can select what type of the things that I want to separate. I want to separate based on tabs, semicolon, comma if I have space. And then I have equal here. I don't want to see equal, so we want to separate the equal as well. Then I can just press finish, and then you will see it's separating each of these lines. So there are some of the things that I don't need, so I can just edit it out. Oops. I want to remove the z-axis as well. Oops. Let me just delete this. So I have okay, let me just put this. All right. So from here we have the value for the x and also for the y. Now, let's say if we already have the value here, and then we want to bring the value into the AutoCAD. So for now, let's say if I have right, so for now I already prepared this value here, so the x and also for the y value here. So this value I want to bring into the AutoCAD, this coordinate value here, and then I want to turn automatically into a lines. So for that case, I need to copy this and move into a text first. So to make it easy, I can save this file. Okay, I can save this file as SVV, CSV. So what it does, it eliminates the columns, and it will replace with the comma once you have import into a text. Examples. So I have saved as SVV file. So let's say if I open up one empty text files and I want to bring the numbering, so I can just click and just drop into here, and then you will see it's automatically create the comma over here, so we can easily create this value as a lines inside of AutoCAD. So what I need to do is I can just copy this value here, and then go back to my AutoCAD, and I want to draw value from here. So I can press polyline for examples, and then from the starting points, you can just paste the value, and then you will see it's automatically draw back using the coordinates that we have over here. Right, so that is pretty much the drawing coordinates with AutoCAD. Right, so far, is there any question that you like to ask before we end this session for today?
Hello.
Yes, Stan.
I just want to ask whether we can use this AutoCAD system to design a yard design.
Yeah, design. Okay, so I believe
line so using the line.
yeah, I believe you can use AutoCAD to draw yards. Right, but I believe you can use different methods, so not necessarily need to use a coordinate as well. You can just use normal line to draw the yard.
So they have arrows, everything lah.
Sorry?
Arrows of the one-way arrow, two-way arrow. They have.
Arrows. You mean the arrow that you want to put the leader, for example, something like that.
To driveway, we need to put the arrow all.
Right.
Okay, like
So,
something like this.
Yeah. Okay. If you want to.
So the thickness of the line also we can adjust.
Yeah, correct. You can change the thickness of the lines. You have properties line over here. You can change the line into different type of lines.
So we
For
can
example,
choose.
I want my line to be dash. I want my line to be a little bit thicker, so I can change to different thickness.
Also, we can adjust the thickness as which one we want. Okay.
Sorry?
The size we can choose, the thickness size.
Yeah, correct. So you can choose the size from.
Okay, okay.
Right, so we also have other questions. Let me just see. Can we update Excel files, then AutoCAD will automatically update? Unfortunately, the Excel files and the AutoCAD file is separated, but I believe if you can find the correct LIPS file, so there are some third party that create LIPS files that may able to automatically update. So that one I believe you need to find out. But for now, using the standard method for the AutoCAD, so it does not update automatically.
Okay, okay.
Right. So is there any question that you like to ask?
So one more. So after we design this drawing, if like the yard layout, so we can straight print,
Sorry, you want what?
to print to A3 or.
Yeah, correct. There are multiple methods that you can print here. Once is that you can just use prints.
Oh, we have the option there lah. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. So I believe that's all. So if there are no more questions, so we can just stop from here lah. So thank you everyone for participating. So thank you Azhar, CCW. Thank you Jaya Gobi.
Okay, thank you.
UC and PH1. Right. So have a nice day, and I hope I can see you guys on the next few months. Bye bye.